You see it everywhere, on the road, on your computer, online, in video games, in buildings, yet you never really pay attention to it, let alone wonder, where did it come from? Since it plays a crucial role in illustrating directions, the arrow is probably the most used and recognized symbol out there, and it has some history behind it. To find the earliest records of a symbol used to indicate direction, we'll have to go all the way back to the 1st century AD. Here we'll find, well, not the earliest, but one of the earliest found records of a directional illustration, a foot on the pavement. As you can probably guess, this works by literally following the footstep, so in this case, you have to walk in the direction the toes are facing. Similarly, a pointing finger was also used in instructional illustrations and signage, such as the fingerboard, which is the road sign that actually points in the direction that you need to go. Back in the day, it used to have a literal finger sticking out of it to indicate the direction of the town or area that's written on it. Moving on to literature, we'll find that in early texts and manuscripts, a special kind of pointing symbol was used, the manicule, which used the fingers to point at and mark up important parts of the text. They were also referred to by other names, such as pointers and printer's fist. Manicules can be traced back to 1086, where they were first used in the Domesday Book of 1086. The book was an overview of all possessions and owners in England before and after 1066. However, it's worth noting that the manicules were likely drawn after 1086. As manicules grew in popularity, they also became more embellished and beautified and weird, though most of the time they were drawn in a hurry without the intention of beautifying them. Later on, with the invention and the popularization of the printing press in the 1450s, manicules became more standardized throughout typography and received their own symbols, which can be found in books and other publications, and even signage and advertisements. In the meantime, a new symbol started to gain attention. In an illustration of Bernard Forest de Belledore's treatise, you can see an archer's arrow in the water. Here, the arrow is used to indicate the direction of the flow of water in the rivers. Using arrows to indicate the direction of the flow of water soon became a common thing, and thanks to their simple nature, arrows as a directional symbol started to spread to other fields. With the rise of motor cars in the late 19th century, bigger road signs needed to be made, as small, wordy fingerboards and milestones weren't cutting it. But World War II came around, and nations quickly halted any efforts to improve the roads. As a matter of fact, most nations began removing road signs, fearing that they might assist the enemy. The end of the war saw itself as an opportunity for nations to redevelop the road systems. And of course, they weren't going to use this arrow. You see, as arrows became more common as a symbol, they also became more simplified, as they lost their fletching, and sometimes they're also rendered without a shaft, leaving just a triangle or a chevron. With all the fame the arrow was getting, manicules fell out of popularity by the 19th century.
It'll offer you a character. If I hit W, it'll say delete word. The arrow moves back and forth to give me feedback. My tracking spot changes. That gives me feedback.
In 1968, Douglas Engelbart presented the iconic mother of all demos, in which he showcased what would later become the modern graphical user interface, which includes windows, icons, real-time editing, and mouse navigation. I mean, the entirety of the software they were using was just so incredible. Everything about it was so mature. It's like the engineers behind it had it all figured out. Point and click, Windows, WYSIWYG, all of which are things that are considered to be parts of the modern GUI that was created in the late 80s and 90s. But it was all there, in 1968. And most importantly, at least for this video, is the mouse pointer, which functioned nearly the exact same way it does today.
We have a pointing device called a mouse, a standard keyboard.
And in the computer they were using to demo this, the mouse pointer was an arrow. However, the arrow was pointing at a 90-degree angle. As GUIs became more common in the mid-80s, so did the arrow as a mouse pointer. The Apple Lisa was the first commercially available computer to have a GUI. Just like the mother of all demos computer, the mouse pointer Lisa OS was using was an arrow, except that it was angled. That's because the angle improved the pointer's appearance on lower resolution displays. And even though the Lisa was a huge failure, it paved the way for Apple and other computer companies to start implementing software with similar GUI that includes an arrow as a mouse pointer. In conclusion, arrows did in fact evolve from the archer's arrow, and over the years they evolved to become more and more simplified as we know them today. And there were many pointing symbols before it, such as the manicule. The modern GUI was the last major milestone in the history of the arrow, with the standard mouse pointer on many systems being an arrow. And that should be the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.